But what about the Greens and what we were mentioning a couple of minutes ago, Cory, where they openly say, OK, to go off and break the law. Why? Because, save the atmosphere in order to destroy the earth, or the other way around. You get the point. But let's just play out. Say, imagine you had suggested that as a way of running against the same-sex marriage plebiscite, people should take to the streets and insert things. What would happen? Yet he's able to say whatever he wants. He's able to get mainstream media and clap on, and no one turns around and says, hang on, look, I know you're not exactly inciting violence, but geez, you're right up on the line here.
Yeah, it's very strange about how it's treated. I mean, you just put up with the hypocrisy and the double standards, right? You've just got to accept that when you're right of centre advocating in particularly social policy. But here you've got a member of what purports to be a serious political party, and he's the leader of it, and he's telling Australians to go out and break the law. Now, I don't think that's reasonable. But what got even worse was that he wrote to some of our neighbours, the neighbours that are dependent on us for aid and money and, basically play us off against China to feather their own nests. And he said, do not go along with Australia hosting an international conference unless they do more about climate change. We are already put the noose around our neck on climate change and electricity policy in this country. And he's now writing to these other basket case nations saying, make sure you put them in a sleeper hold as well. It's just an appalling sort of question that now I am asking. Does he hate Australia? Do the Greens hate Australia? And if so, go somewhere else.
But again, Christy, I desperately do not want Australia to go anywhere near some of the worst politics of the United States, right? And while I love America, I understand sort of the fringes of fringes,
exactly.
right? The dehumanisation that can happen when people disagree, all right? Now, I'm happy to rip into these people to disagree, all the rest of it here. But, one of the reasons why I'm talking about things being third rails that used to instantly kill people, or hang on, what if it was a different politician? You've got to have standards that apply regardless of what the issue is being discussed. And when you slowly but surely start to show that it only matters when you do it, not when I do it, then eventually the people who are the most passionate supporters start to see, well, hang on, one rule for you, one rule for me, and then you end up in a place where the fringes of America is. That's why I want somebody to come out and say, hang on, it's not okay that this bloke says, basically, go make as much trouble as you want because, we pretty much know the judges will be on your side.
And it's not good enough, and it's absolutely outlandish and quite frankly crazy that he's equating protesting for climate change, joining with Extinction Rebellion and so forth,
correct,
in line with protesting for great civil rights movements such as the ending of slavery.
Please.
Nobody questions this rhetoric and this narrative as absolutely foolish. People just eat it up. It is absolutely ridiculous. And the last time, of course, we saw the quiet Australians, or the quiet majority, protesting was against Bob Brown turning up in Queensland, running them out of town. So Australians do become very disaffected with this sort of noise, and finally they will do something about it, as we saw in Queensland.
But also, my thing is, again, if these people think that the majority of people are on their side, or a solid majority of people are on their side, or even a solid minority, then agree that at midday every Sunday you're going to have a march until you get what you want, right? Midday every Sunday. And you start with 100 people and 200 and 500, 1,000, 10,000. Eventually you get to an Iraq war situation of 250,000 people. And that becomes incredibly difficult politically to deal with.
And dangerous.
You turn around and you want to muck around and just sort of, bash some things along the way. Guess what people will do? They'll just eventually fob you off, move you to one side and call you the idiots that you are.